Ooh, hey, sorry about that. I just realized we was muted. Ooh, man. What's up with that? Okay, I'm back. All right. Yeah, I just realized we were muted. Okay, let's do a do-over. Reel it up. See this microphone right here? Okay, millions of people have these. And if you bump this thing, see that flash? Well, that was flat. That was bumped, and you probably had no audio in the beginning. Well, that kind of sucks. Anyway, sorry about that. I was doing some jamming. I don't know if you guys heard that. I am going through another source. Maybe you heard it. I don't know. You probably didn't. That's okay. I played some blues. You didn't hear it. That's okay. So we're going to get into some blues. So if you are into let's say, if you're into rock, if you're into country, if you're into metal, you're into alternative, there's a lot of things you can be into. Maybe the exception maybe would be classical. I was going to say jazz, but I think jazz and blues had some weavings of it. And I don't know if there was those of you who are musical historians will probably be able to give you a better insight into all this. All I know is that if you start out with the blues, and if you learn the blues, if you learn that foundation, there's a lot in rock that will make probably a little bit more sense when you're trying to learn it. I'm speaking mostly to you guys who are beginners, probably your early intermediate, trying to figure this whole thing out. As much of us who are advanced hopefully get this, I think. I know sometimes I have to go back and play it just to kind of refresh my brain as far as how the structure goes. The structure is very simple, and all too often us guitar players, and I guess this speaks for life in general as well, we like to complicate things too much. And we want to put too much into it. So in guitar, what we're going to do here is simplify it. We're going to go back to the basics. It's always good to go back to the basics. No matter how far along you are in your playing, it's always good to go back there. It kind of grounds you a little bit. It grounds me. And so I'm hoping to maybe help in grounding you as well. So we're going to give that a go. And we're going to show you some basic 12-bar blues. Oh, my gosh. All right, so let's get started. All right, enough of the talking, enough of the yapping. Let's get to some playing. In the 12-bar blues, I tell you what, if you allow me, let me do a little bit of a mini jam. I don't know if you heard it or not. If you did, I apologize. I think anyway, let's just redo it real quick. I'm going to play a couple rounds of 12-bar blues so you know what I'm talking about, and I will jam into it. All right, so let me get that started right here. And of course, I didn't get that. Second, we are in crisis mode here. Okay. All right, so 12-bar blues goes something like this. All right, so all right, stop. Okay, so you get the idea. 12-bar blues. It's so let me get started and start at the beginning. 12-bar blues, 12 bars. Let's just take it right in order there. 12 bars indicates 12 measures or 12 groups of 4 beats. So what that means is it probably feels more natural to many of you. You've heard, if it's not the blues, there's a lot of rock, certain pop rock and stuff like that kind of follows a similar format where 12 bars, you have, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, and so on up to 12, 2, 3, 4, and then back to 1 again. And so you do what's called a turnaround and go back to the first bar at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 12 bars. That's called a bar. So in music, a bar is a measure. If you're familiar with a measure, it's the same thing. So you group 4 beats and then 12 groups of those 4 beats. Now, what constitutes a bar in blues? Well, you can play in a bar. Okay, my day job. There's also 12 bars. Let me pull up one of my tabs here. Let's see if I can grab that for you here. Let's see. We don't see it here. Where are you? Okay. Thought I had it open. Let me open that up. All right. Now let's try it. There we go. So how y'all doing there? I'm just running all kinds of crazy technical difficulties. I do apologize for this. Okay. Well, I can't get the screen up. All right. That's okay. Don't worry about it. So 12 groups of 4. So in blues, when we're counting 12 groups of 4, when we play this particular part here that I was just doing, so 12 bars, so 1 bar would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 2 and 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So 1 bar is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 bars, okay? 4 beats, that's 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. So I'm going to play that, and the count will be 12, and then we're going to come back and we start again to 1. All right, so that's what a bar is. So now the type of blues that I'm playing here, there's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so I'm playing sort of a 8th beats. It kind of is not so rigid 8th beats. There's sort of there's a bounce to that. But each movement of my fingers, 1 and 2, and sorry, each movement of my pick, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so my right hand is doing the counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So a great way of doing that is to slap on a metronome. And let me grab my metronome, which is on my phone. We all have apps these days, right? All kinds of apps. The app that I use is the Pro Metronome. I don't know if you guys use this one. I love this one. It's very versatile. So the Pro Metronome. So there we go. All right. So so this here, let me separate this. Maybe play that 1, 2, and 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. So that little that separate sound there, that little ding, that's the beginning of the next bar. So so if I was to play this blues thing, 1 and now the and is in between. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so each number that I say is on the beat, but in the and is in between. So if I'm going to do this, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 2 and 2 and now let's just stay on 1 bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You hear I'm saying the and in between the 1. So now when I'm playing this, and I'm going to show you how to play it in a minute, but I want to give you the idea of the rhythm first. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And actually, if you look at my left hand, 1 and 2, every time I move my fingers is a number, is the beginning of that beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And, all right, so that's how the timing goes. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. And, all right, and that's the rhythm that we're going to follow throughout the 12 bars. Okay, so that's how you get started. I always like to, before you even start to learn the, hey, how do I play this on my fingers? It's grasping what the beats are first, because you need to have that rhythm. Okay, you need to have that rhythm, that kind of feel to it, so you can kind of flow into it. It's really very simple, but it can't, if you're not used to it, if you're kind of in the beginning of all this, it could be a little bit of a challenge. I would encourage the metronome. Well, actually, I would encourage learning how to play it first, which I'm going to show you in a second. But the metronome, or if you want to use a drum program on GarageBand, or I did a loop station, which I use poorly, something like that to kind of keep your beat. All right, and then that could give you a great way of working on the timing to make sure that you're on time. Okay, that you can dun 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 and so on. Okay, and again, like I said, we're doing basic 12-bar blues. There are different kinds of formats. We're gonna just this to me, I think, is the basic, and this is what I started with. When I first learned guitar, right? Way back in the olden days when I was in high school, I learned this. This is what I did. And I would play this over and over and over and drive my parents nuts. And if my parents were watching, they would agree with me. It was just had this little amp, and I had my one guitar. By the way, sorry, sidebar, this guitar right here, this was my first guitar I ever owned. This was it. And this is what I learned how to play on. It's an Ibanez Junior Les Paul. Bought it for $100 at some music store out in Oakland, Illinois, that I don't think is there anymore. And yeah, that's how I learned. I learned on that. But I'm going to use this one because I like this guitar. Although I like that guitar too. But this is the one I'm going to play. I'm going to use the PRS because PRSs are fun. Anyway, enough of the sidebar. Let's come back. Snap back to reality. Whoops, there it goes. Okay. So so using a metronome really helps with the rhythm of that. So now let's get a little bit into how to play it. All right, so I'm doing the blues. It's called blues in A. All right, so it's in the key of A. So I'm not going to get too well into the scales and theory. If you want me to do that, let me know. Leave a comment. I will do this for another lesson. This, when I say blues in A, is kind of ambiguous. So those of you who are starting to learn your scales, and if you're kind of getting into the soloing, you may have actually caught me doing it. Well, is it A major? Is it A minor? Which is it? The answer is yes, because I am not playing on this guitar. When I did that riff, I'm not playing any notes in the chords that make it major or minor. So it's kind of this ambiguous thing. So, and I'll get into this in just a second, but I can play either a minor pentatonic scale. So if you're working on that, you can play it. If you're learning the A major pentatonic scale, guess what? What I just did, you can play it. All right. The blues scale, yes, you can play it. Of course you can play it. It's blues. Hello. And there's also other versions that I can play also. I can play lead to. If you're getting more advanced into modes, I can play a Mixolydian mode in there, which works really nice. And what's even better is I can combine them all and mix them up. Ooh, that's where the fun begins. But we're getting to the basics here. So I'm just telling you, when I say blues in A, that's what I'm talking about, right? And I could play with the way I played this. I can play any one of those scales and mix them up, and it really makes for interesting soloing. But enough of that. Let's get to the foundation. Okay, let me bring the camera up real close. All right. And let me show you the left hand first, and then I'm going to get the right hand, and then I'm going to show you both together, okay? We're just going to play the first part, which is A. So we're doing this A chord. So this is an A power chord right here. All right, let me sound back. All right, and I'm just picking the open A, and then this note right here, which is the second fret on the D string, and that's an E. So I'm just playing these two strings. In fact, this whole riff, this whole riff, this whole progression I'm going to play is only on these 2 strings. Okay, I'm only going to use these 2 strings the way I'm going to do it here. All right, you don't have to do it, but the bottom line is you're only going to use 2 strings when you're playing, or you only need to use the 2 strings. All right, you can always, the nice thing about blues, you can always add on more. You can always add on if you need to, but just always be aware of overcomplicating blues, because if you overcomplicate it and get too fancy, you'll lose it. All right, and I don't know if people necessarily want to hear that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But me, if you get to the foundation, you can really make things sing. Go listen to anything B.B. King does. Anyway, so the notes that I'm going to play here, I'm going to use the pointer and the ring finger for my A. So it's going to be, all right, as I pick the 2, let me bring my pick over here just so you can see it. So I'm going to do these 2 to here, and then the ring finger goes up 2 frets up on the same string as the A, as the pointer finger on the D string, but I'm going to do on the 4th fret right here. I keep this finger here because I'm going to be going back and forth. So there's no point in me releasing it and doing this. It's kind of awkward. So I'm just going to keep this pointer finger here and just drop the ring finger when I need it. So it's, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So if you're kind of in the beginning of all this, this is how you can start figuring it out, right? You go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that essentially is, if I did my metronome, right? 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Well, maybe you don't want to go that fast. Slow it down. So be like this. Be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're new to this, you'd want to work on that. Be very consistent with it. We haven't played the blues feel yet, but we're just getting the fingers used to doing this. All right. So we're going to do A. All right. And then I'm going to play what's a D power chord, which is up here. All right. Now there's other places I can play. You might have seen me do it here too. I don't remember if I did it that way, but we're going to stick with these 2 strings. And over here on the D, this is a D chord right here, D power chord, just these 2 notes. So this is on the 5th fret. This is on the 7th fret. All right here. And we're going to drop the little finger over 2 frets. Yes, my friends, this is a great stretching exercise if you haven't done it. But I'm going to tell you what, I did this early on in my playing, and you can do this too. So you drop the little finger down at 2 frets above the ring finger, keeping this finger there, of course. Again, we don't want to be going back and forth. You just leave this finger here, and you're just going to drop this down and then release it. Same idea as the A, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you got to work on that, just work on that. Don't jump ahead. Don't go crazy yet. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And just work on that before you get the rhythm. You want this to all sound nice and clear. Okay, we go back to the A, but the other chord that we're going to use here is a little bit later in the bar is here is an E. We're just basically going to take this D and we're going 2 frets higher. So we're on, this is on 7. This is on 9 on the D string. Remember, we're staying on these 2 strings. And the same idea, same as what we did on the D. We're going to drop the the little finger down here, 2 frets above the ring. So this is on the 11th fret here. This is on the 9th fret. We just same idea. So before you actually, if you're in the beginning, and those of you who are a little further along, just have patience here. I'll get to that in a minute. But if you're in the beginning here, what you're going to want to do is just work on this, right? So get back here a little bit. Let me drop that down. There we go. So right here, right? So I'm just going to put my pick across those strings and just work on this. Making sure that sounds good. And same thing here. And if you're having trouble, you're trying to get those fingers in there, work on it. Get those fingers, the fingers to land, and the same with the E. All right. So that's what you want to work on before you even dive into the blues if you're in the beginning. Now, a couple things on the technique. All right, before we get any further. Technique. So well, on the right hand, let me go on the right hand. We'll get that over really, really quick. I'm anchoring my hand behind. These are the saddles, the bridge on the bridge. Okay, hopefully you remember your guitar parts. And I'm resting the heel of my hand behind it over here. Okay, so the heel of my hand is sitting behind it, and I'm using my wrist back and forth, resting my forearm, bottom of my forearm up on the corner here of the guitar, and then my the heel of my hand right here on the bridge, and using my wrist to go across the strings that I need to. Okay. All right. Now on the left hand, what happens behind the scenes always matters. Those of you who know me, who've learned lessons from me or have seen in my videos before, I do talk about this occasionally, is we want to make sure that where our thumb and our wrist are positioned is going to make us successful in playing. So when I'm playing the A, note where my wrist is a little bit lower here. I'm not doing this. Okay, that's a no-no. Okay, you don't have to do this either on the A. You could if you wanted to, but for the A, I like to keep it right here, and I rest my thumb on the top. So I'm basically grabbing the back of the neck here, just wrapping it around like this, around the back of the neck, and then playing, all right? And keeping it in this spot. We don't want a lot of movement, unnecessary movement. We want to put as much movement on the fingers as we possibly can and not have everything else, all over the place. So again, like I said, I run it up here, but you can certainly bring the thumb down a little bit. But still, if you're going to do that, it's got to stay in that. It's got to stay in place. All right, it's got to stay in place right here. So if I'm moving those fingers back and forth, all right, we got to stay right there. No collapsed thumbs. No, moving it around like doing this. You want to be as stable as you can. Now when we're doing these other two, here we do have the thumb. I got the thumb down about roughly almost halfway down this direction. All right, and then I keep it there. All right, I don't move it. I keep it right there, and then I work on that stretch. You don't want to be moving your hand around. You're kind of defeating yourself, before you get started. So you want to have your fingers doing this, okay, and keep the back of that thumb right there. The back of the neck, the thumb right there in the back of the neck. You'll also notice when I'm playing these two chords, my wrist is hanging down low. I'm not up here. I'm not doing this, trying to do all kinds of crazy contorted angles. It's nice and low here so that we can bring the fingers around and play this. One other thing that I know this would matter to many of you is, we also can mute the higher three strings that we're not playing, and I call a lazy finger, right? So I'm just bringing this finger down across the top of those strings, not pressing, just across the top. And the same with this one. I don't catch all the strings with the ring finger, but I catch at least the G string here. All right, and then the pointer finger is muting those strings here. That way you don't hear that sloppiness if you had. All right, that sounds kind of ugly. So you just kind of. All right, so that's how you would do that. So there's your technique on how to hold those chords. Now, and then what the right hand does. Let's go back to just the A. All right, so we're going to go 2 times each finger. That's really kind of in essence, and you're constantly down picking. This whole time is down pick. So 1 and 2. All right, so like I told you, they're kind of eighth beats. They're really not sort of eighth beats. I don't really know the technical how they exactly flow out, but you hold this one down. Every single note lasts a little bit longer than the ring finger note. So that way you get kind of that feel to it. So I go back to my metronome. Let's see, I go back up to 90. That's good. All right, so it's. Or if you need to work on it slow. That's down to 50. And if you do nothing else, just work on this. All right, and make that sound nice and clear, nice and concise, right on the beat, or right where it's supposed to be. I shouldn't say right on the beat, but right. At least the ones that are on the click should be right on the beat. Okay, right on that beat. And then, like I said, use the metronome. You can slow it down. As you can tell, I've gone at different speeds on the metronome. I had it at, where did I have it written? That slow one was right down here at 51, I think it was. Mostly I've been playing it up here at 90. See, I like how this wheel does this thing. So you can see that looks like it might be kind of blurry to 90. All right, so I'm playing it mostly at 90. That's the speed here. All right, feels good. You can slow the blues down. You can speed it up. Whatever works for you. All right, now for the structure. Okay, the structure is what we call a 1-4-5, and I see Renee already mentioned that on Facebook, working 1-4-5 now. So 1-4-5 blues. You'll hear that in blues world. Actually, you'll hear that in pretty much any music world with a lot of musicians where you'll hear numbers. Okay, I'm gonna play 1-4-5. 1-4-5. Let's play 1-4-5 or 4-5-1 or 4-1-5. What they're doing there is I'm not going to get into the theory. It's based on the scales that you're in and what chords fit in that scale. The first, the fourth, and the fifth chord of that key is what you play in the blues. Of course, the 1-4-5 is the same letter in major or minor. So in other words, I can do a 1-4-5 minor. I'm gonna get off track just a little bit. 1, A minor, D minor, E minor. So these are what we call in A. I'm in A now. This is what we call the 1. The D is the 4, and the E is the 5. In major, it's the same thing. If I just did major chords, there's a major, A major, D major, and E major. Okay, so 1-4-5 is the same for both. Okay, but if you take the major and minor part out, if I'm just going to play power chords, this makes it even easier. So 1-4-5 is the first, the fourth, and the fifth of the chord. Now, if you're not up on all that, don't worry about it. I got you covered because there's a really easy way of looking at your guitar to figure out what that is. Really, really super simple. If you haven't figured it out already by watching, I'm going to clear it for you right now. It's this little, I don't even know what you would call it, but if you look at your A, if you find your root note, okay, let's say, okay, I'm going to play the blues in A. So we know this is our A note right here. At least you better know your A note. You better, if you don't know your notes, you know what? I'm going to put it down below. It's not in there right now, but after we're going to put the note finder. You got to know where your notes are at, man. This really matters. So this is your A, all right? And then you just stay on the same fret, go up one string. There's your D. That's your 4. 1, 4. And then your 5 is the 2 frets up to the E on that same string as the D. So you're 1, 4, 5. What I'm doing is I'm tracing the root note. It's the note that names the chord. So now all I do is when I take the power chord, there's that A. I'm doing this, right? Wait, this, and this. All right. So now I'm just adding the ring finger. The ring finger kind of, you just follow that same, you're in the same shape here with your fingers. 4, 5. All right. So this 1, 4, 5, it looks like this every single time. So if you're not doing it A, you're going to do blues in F sharp. What? Well, no big deal. You may not even know your notes in that. So I know my F sharp is right here, right? So I'm going to do F sharp. That's a B, C sharp. Guess what? I'm following the same pattern. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. So that's a quick, easy way. Now that doesn't mean you're just going to be relegated just to playing it here. You might play an A here. All right. I may play the 1 here, which is an A. That's an A chord here. I may play the 4 here. I might play the E down here. I mean, not that I would, but you can play it anywhere as long as it's A, D, E, that 1, 4, 5 pattern. But this sets you up. So if you know your guitar neck really well, I can play the A here, but I guess what? I can also play it here. And what did I do? I played it here. So this is your A here. So this is an open A. This is an A here, open A here. So I'm playing the A power chord. See how I did that? I bet you were wondering, well, why he's playing over here? That's why. I could have done it here too. It's the same thing. Same as here. And you can play them either way. There's no wrong or right answer. I like it here because sometimes you can get a little fancy. Where I can do stuff like that. Maybe here it'll be a little more difficult. So I don't know. Your choice. It's dealer's choice. But you get the idea. If you're not sure, you can just look at this for reference and then make a decision how you want to play your your 1, 4, 5. You can play it anywhere as long as it's that chord, that A, the D, and the E. All right, so hopefully you got that. Like I said, I didn't get into the scales. If you need to learn your pentatonics, your major and minor scales, that should be something you should know. Get learning that. But without knowing those scales, this is a quick down and dirty way of figuring it. Right here, just go on the lowest note, on the lowest string, the low E string, jump up on the same fret to the A string, and then jump up 2 frets. So you're up 1 fret on the same string, and then to the 5, you're going to go 2 frets over here. And it's this way all the time. All right. And then you can play different versions of, like I did the A. This is a lot easier to play for me than here. I like it here. All right. Guess what? I can also play the D here, which I'm using these 2 strings. Okay. Here's the E can be played here. I've done that a lot. In fact, a lot of my beginners I teach down there on here where they don't have to use the stretchy part yet. So different options. So that's what makes up the 1, 4, 5. Now, how is it structured? Okay, the way it's structured, and again, I wish I had my tab sheet, but that's okay. Well, I'll speak to you and hopefully you'll get it here. I'm sure you will. It will feel natural, but the 1, 4, 5. So you play the first chord for 4 bars. So in other words, that A is played for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to switch to D. 2 bars. So 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And then go back to that A, back to the 1 for 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then I'm going to go up to the 5 chord, which is what? That's the E, right? Up here for 1 bar. All right. And then drop down to the 4 chord, which is the D for 1 bar. All right. And then the 12th bar is this turnaround thing. Okay. Press pause. I'm going to go right back to that. So let's take the beginning here, and then I'll show you the turnaround. So watch this. So the way I count it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Take 2. All right. And see, even you can play for 40 years, you still screw up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, and then I could do a turnaround. All right, there's different turnarounds, and I want to do another lesson if you're okay with this. I don't know if I'll get to it next week. I'm gonna try it maybe next lesson. If I do a different day, maybe not Wednesday, maybe Tuesday or Thursday. What I want to do for the next live lesson is we're going to really get in depth on turnarounds. Turnaround is just that. It turns you're turning around and you're going to start back at the beginning again. So you've gone to the 12th bar, bumpity, bump, 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 all the way here. And then you play a line that takes you back to the first one. So there's several different turnarounds. The one that I did earlier that you saw me do is I'm playing here. Okay, let's go back to the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. All right. So what I did there, this is just one turnaround. There's many you can do. So right here, what you want to do is you start what's called the 5th of the chord. Oh, that's fancy. No, all you're doing, if you're playing it this way, okay, that ring finger note is 1, 3, 4, and 1. All right. So you play that note, single note, skip a fret down to here, and then you're going to go chromatically down for 3 frets. See, I did that. All right. You can do a single thing. Da da da. What that is it's just the 4, a sharp 4. That's the blue note, by the way. A little bonus tip there. All right, or a single note. So it's a D, D sharp, E. D, D sharp, E. I can play it wherever I want. I can do the chord. Pick your pick. Whichever one, you can do the chord. Or you can play. All right, after I do this line. And then back to the beginning. That turns me around, right? We start again. So that's one turnaround. A simpler turnaround, and let me cover this before we go. A simpler turnaround could be. I still did that, only on the 11th bar, I did this. And then stop on 12. So it's 11, 2, 3, 4, 12. And then just do an open D, back that open D, D sharp, E, and then back again. That's another way you can do it. There's several different ways you can play it. Those are probably 2 of my favorites that I like to throw in. And that will give you a turnaround, taking you right back to the beginning and start again. And you can go on and 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 on until somebody says stop. Or somebody looks at you. If you're playing in the band, they're looking at you and say, okay, we're done. Right? Or the audience is getting bored and they're going to get the drinks, going for potty breaks, stuff like that. So just got to be careful with going too long. But then again, some people can listen to the blues all day long. Hey man, power to you. I can listen to it for a while. After a while, I want to move on to something different. There are different styles of blues. Again, I'm just giving you the foundation. There's so much more you can do with this, but it centers around this. This is kind of where it centers right here. It kind of swirls around this foundation that I just gave you. And then from here, you can branch out and get more creative. Next lesson, I don't know if it'll be next week. I think it'll be in 2 weeks. Now I'm thinking about it on my schedule. What we're going to do is I'm going to cover the Sweet Home Chicago style blues. It's done slightly different, and we're going to do it in E. So that's going to be a different way we're going to play it. It's not terribly different than what I did here. It's going to be a different feel. And then show you how that format works. It's very familiar. So, before you accuse me, Clapton did it, and, we can go on from there. So anyway, that is what you can do there. So we'll cover that next week. All right. So hopefully you got something out of this. That would be awesome if you did. And sorry about the beginning. For those of you who are live, if you're watching this afterwards, I'm going to edit that out. It's the power of YouTube. They do let me do that. I'll trim that beginning out. But sorry about it live if I went a little too long without any volume, thanks to my handy dandy microphone, which was doing its job, and I didn't know that. So that is the 12-bar blues. I will leave a link down below to the 6-string corner tab library, which has got all kinds of songs in there. So there's a whole bunch of things you can a whole smorgasbord stuff you can pick from. But I will also have the tabs of a couple of different variations of 12-bar blues in A. So you can go there and open up. There's simple versions. There's a little more involved versions that you can download if you want to. If the tab helps you, I will put that in there. So just bear with me live. If you want it, I will get it as soon as I'm done talking and I sign off. Thanks, Renee. I do appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to continue this in a couple of weeks. Excuse me. I'd love to continue this in a couple of weeks and expand upon this just a little bit. I think the blues are great for y'all to learn. If you haven't dived into it, it's great to dive into it because whatever music you are playing, you might already be doing the blues. In what case you may be teaching me. But if you're playing rock, you're playing all those different styles of music. Getting these foundation down will definitely help you towards being better at those other things other songs that you want to play. All right. So sound good. So plus every guitar player, I think, who does rock should know the blues anyway. All right. So that is it. I am done for today. I'm going to done talking. I was going to be a short lesson. Sorry for talking too long. I hope you got something out of it. I do appreciate it. And I believe I will be back in 2 weeks. So if you want to know for sure, Sign up for if you get in the 16 corner tab library. If you click on that, you will also get into the my tips, the email tips. But I will give you a notification right up there. Hey, this is the lesson's coming up today on such and such a date, and you'll know in advance that it's coming up. All right. So anyway, enough of my talking. I need to get out of here. I will talk to you all next time. Thanks a lot, and rock on.